So,
Just a point of record, should I note somewhere in here about Yvette resigning or?
You can, the town keeps records of those. So, yeah, you can, the town keeps a record of it, and when she sent that to me, I passed it on to Rose in
Yeah.
the manager's office, so I think,
Okay.
you know, it's not like that would be the only place there would be a record, but it can't hurt too.
start. So it doesn't look like anybody's out there, but just in case there is anybody out there. Now's your time. Public comment. I noticed a bit didn't put on here on this agenda, you know, just an update from you, Sky, so maybe we can.
Yeah, I think the only updates I would have for you guys is just since Yvette has resigned.
Oh.
Well, we can wait for that. I have a couple notes for you guys. I'll just add this really quickly. I have a couple notes for you guys about just like administratively how the committee liaises with the town and stuff, and I'll just go over that whenever it's a good time for you guys. Since she was taking care of a lot of that. So whenever you want to hear that, I'm happy to discuss.
Okay, well, since I can't read, go back to the minutes. So did anybody have any comments on the minutes or any revisions? Last month I didn't.
I forgot to read them, but I'm sure they're great. I don't know. You can, you know. They're probably adequate, let's put it that way.
Okay,
Yeah, I think they look good to me.
so is there a motion that we find that the minutes adequate or we can approve the minutes?
I so moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? That's fine, we don't have to vote yet. Okay, well, I guess, yeah, Sky, take it away. Did you want to update us on the draft committee policy? Has anybody had a chance to read that, by the way? The goings on of the select board last Thursday?
Has anything more come out about?
Yeah, there's some changes.
I honestly don't have a good update. I didn't talk to
Yeah.
Mark about it. I forgot because I left on Wednesday
Oh, yeah,
last week and Monday was my first day back. So I don't have a very good update for you on that one. I'm sorry.
okay.
They're fast.
Mhm. You think it passed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're talking all the changes,
the committee
Third.
policy,
Yeah.
you know, attendance and all that good stuff,
I think there was one or two suggested adoption, needs to be adopted.
yeah.
They were approved,
But otherwise,
I think.
otherwise.
The minutes are not up yet and I just didn't talk about it, so I
Yeah.
don't know, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's fine. So you had some stuff.
I just wanted
that
to,
you wanted-
yeah, I just wanted to mention this since Yvette has been mostly the one taking care of this, that going forward, when you guys get a new charge and term, agendas are emailed to me and Irene 1 week before your meeting, so they can be posted. I should be, that's the secretary in the planning and codes department. So if you were the one doing that, you could email it to me the first time and I'll send it back to you and say, hey, include Irene on these in the future, and I'll attach her email. So if someone is doing that doesn't have Irene's email, just send it to me and I will take care of it for that one time. And then,
Yvette was doing it.
yes,
Right,
and it,
I would do minutes and she would.
yes. So we need the minutes too as well at that
Yeah.
same time. And it needs to be a PDF. Yvette has been doing Google Docs, which has been a bit of a headache for us, quite honestly. And then I should be CC'd on all committee emails. And to just make sure you guys aren't doing committee business outside of noticed meetings. So that's if more than 2 of you talk, I think, on an email or make decisions that can be considered working outside of a noticed meeting.
I'd like
What
some
is a
more-
quorum? for us. If this-
Yeah, you're right. It might be 3. It might be more than 4
Might
for
be
you
4,
guys.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think, so you've got 1, 2.
we've got 4.
Yeah, you've got 4 right now. Well, Victor's still a member, so that would be included with your quorum number. So Vet left, so the only one we're missing today is Victor. So yes, it's still 3.
So 3.
Yep, 3 is a quorum. So yeah, that is, so if 3 of you discuss something on an email and make a decision, that would be business outside of a noticed meeting.
The discussion, I assume, is okay. It's the decision making that's the problem.
Well, did anyone read the updated committee policy?
I got into it a ways and it did.
Cause
Talk
it
about
does,
that.
it does have a helpful clarification,
Mhm.
which I thought was pretty clear. It was basically if any decision has to be made in a public forum,
Mhm.
so we can work together, but then the product has to be brought to this meeting and discussed in the public forum before it's adopted or
Yep.
decided upon.
Right.
So I think that's pretty
That
clear.
makes sense, that makes sense to me. I was
Mhm.
concerned about not being able to discuss things. Because how we are expected to get any work done
Mhm.
is in 1.5 hour meeting a month.
Mhm.
It's beyond me. So, okay.
Yeah, I think if we could get when the committee policy, if it's finalized, if we get
Yep.
like a copy of that, that would be good.
Mhm.
We wanna make sure you read it, and
Oh, yeah.
I think it's
I
helpful.
read I had commented on the other, I didn't realize that another one had come through.
Yeah, I just saw the, what was gonna be in the select board for review item.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. I'll send it out to all my committees when I get a finalized version. Sometimes the manager's office can be slow about that, so I will try to remind them to get that to all of you guys, and I do, once again. They met on Juneteenth, wasn't a work day, so my brain just wasn't there, and I'm sorry I can't speak about it more fully than that. And I don't think you guys have been doing that wrong. I just really wanted to remind you, some of these are reminders as you're going forward, not, hey, you did this, don't do it again thing. Just as an FYI, that's not what this is. Yvette's been taking care of a lot of this, and I thought it was just a
Yep.
good time to just kind of go over some of the administrative aspects of this. And the, I guess I'll just do these. I have these notes. So I have a feeling you guys are going to ask me at some point during this meeting what your next steps are. And I did check with the town manager on that. So you'll want to communicate with, you can email him or you could email me requesting to be put on the select board agenda to request a new charge and term. I would say at this point, probably best to plan on skipping your July meeting, because I don't know if the timing would be possible for you to get a new charge and term before then. And we do ask our ad hoc committees to take a break during the summer usually anyway for staff. So I would just say at this point, if you guys are okay to resume in August, that would make the most sense. If that's really an issue, we can discuss, but
So can you clarify when we should be? So the next step is to bring the proposed charge to a select board meeting. Is it recommended that would we, as part of that, would we share our draft charge in advance and get feedback?
yeah, so if you guys like finish today and you're like, you know what, this was just the finalized, like we're ready to go. We're gonna email tomorrow. You would email me and or Mark. And if you, just one of us, and we'll get it on there. And then stuff needs to get ready for the packet, like at least a week in advance. And I would expect that there might be a little bit of back and forth with him if he needs something specific or something like that. I think we're coming up on tomorrow's the deadline for the July 3rd meeting. And then, so you could make the second July meeting, but at that point, I'm requesting that you just take off, try not to go for a July meeting for just my planning schedule as well. And I didn't think you guys had that much of a rush. If that's really an issue for you, for some reason we can discuss, but I just wanted to mention that.
When is the August meeting?
I'm not sure exactly what date it is. You guys, if you want to keep your time the same, you can. If you want to discuss changing it, that's also an option. I did want to bring up to you guys, if you wanted to consider changing your time to an earlier time during the day. So it's not a night meeting. There is no pressure with that request, but I did want to put it to you guys since you're doing this just as a consider it if you want to. That's certainly something I would be fine with. And if there's a time that works better for everyone, we can discuss that now at this point too. I think you're not a new committee. I know you don't want to change your name, but if you want to change anything about the way you guys are doing things, now is not a bad time to do that. And then the only other thing is that the Google Drive is Yvette's, and in her email, she said, you know, she'll leave it up for the summer. I've downloaded all those files for our internal servers, so I do have a backup of them. We use Google Drive for our other committees. I maintain one for the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee. I'm not familiar with the software she mentioned in her email. If you guys do want a joint sharing thing, I'm happy to manage a Google Drive for you. But you can take your time to figure out what works best for you.
I think it would be better to have staff manage it, just because it's.
Oh, I meant if you want a Google Drive or not, I would prefer I manage it,
I
just because we've had,
prefer-
yeah,
prefer.
we've had that happen where a committee member did not do what Yvette did and like give enough notice and some things were lost, I guess, so, yes. I went and downloaded it as soon as I saw that email, because I thought, you know what, let's just make sure I have this, so, yeah, that's just all information for you guys, you know.
I don't use it, but I can download. In other words, I can't put things on, 'cause I don't use Google at all. I don't do the search, but I can easily download. So far, I haven't had a problem.
So let me ask a question.
Mhm.
We're in our last official meeting. right?
Yes,
After this meeting is over, we're nothing.
I think
Until we-
effectively, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So any work that we do on this is strictly, stuff
Yeah.
we do together.
I think so. I
not,
honestly,
Not in a public forum because we
Yeah.
don't have a charge.
yep. I think you're correct on that, Nick. I think the only thing about it that's giving me a tiny bit of pause is just the fact that you're not gonna become a new committee. You're asking for a continuance of an existing committee. But yeah, that's,
Do we have to apply to be committee members again?
I don't think so. I think you would just say we are the people that were on it and we wanna do this. Yeah, I think that's fine
Mhm.
going forward. And I don't think you don't need to fill out applications again that I know of. Yes,
Okay.
I know, confident answer, right?
Well, I mean, I just thought about it today.
It's a good question.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you on it. I can see that one tiny aspect to it, but I would say that is what makes the most sense to me.
It's 1/2 dozen of the other because we're
Yeah.
gonna send something to you and Mark that says this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
So however we go about that, we're not really bound to do that in a public way.
I don't think so, yeah.
Cool. Just finding it good to put it into
Yep,
to the globe. Okay,
I'll double check that, but I think that's the case.
okay. So as far as the rest of this committee policy and do you want to discuss any parts of that? I'm still a little confused about this quorum thing. Cause it appears to say, and tell me if I'm completely wrong, but it appears to say that if you work on something with a quorum number of people, that you're working outside of the rules. Is that true or false?
I haven't looked at this one. I do apologize. Let me pull it up. Since we're in here and you guys are, yeah, I saw Mark walk past earlier, but I didn't grab him. All right.
On page 18.
Thank you.
18.
Yeah.
Wow. There it is. I don't know, what was your thought on that, Stephanie?
Yeah, it
You-
does.
You read this stuff good.
Yeah, if you go to item E in the
Yeah.
list. It says this. Yeah, not to accidentally conduct business via group email discussions. This section does not prohibit a group of committee members, which is less than a quorum. From working on a document, project, or report. So this does make it sound like the entire committee could not work together outside of the committee.
So
What I thought.
how I would read that is that if you had like a Google Drive document that like you were each able to be editors on, you could individually make suggestions. You would not then be able to go through and like approve it. I think you'd want to even be careful about responding to comments, quite honestly. Like, I agree. That one seems a little gray to me, but I do think it's like if you at your meeting say, okay, we're gonna work on creating a document that lists places people can get like grants for heat pumps. And then, someone puts it into a document and it's in a workspace that you guys have access to, you can read it and individually provide comments, but you cannot then like, I wouldn't even probably respond necessarily.
Working on like a plan or policy document, we wouldn't wanna all be in Google Drive, like.
I think you could be in there at the same time, like, the anonymous left.
Like communicating.
Yes,
like,
exactly, yeah,
a decision around.
yeah,
It's really a gray area, but.
yeah. I do understand how it's difficult for you guys who do work in these situations. I think this is kind of, I think in your case that if you have a document and you are individually working in it, you're not kind of like, oh, what do you think? And I think even actually two of you, so since a quorum for you guys is 3, like you probably could respond to comments and say, this is how I feel about this. You just want to make sure that there isn't like multiple people saying, yes, let's do this thing. And like, we agree with that because then a decision and work is kind of being created outside of a noticed meeting. I don't think that's that different than what you guys have done historically though either. Usually I feel like you work on things between meetings and then come back to kind of recap.
Share,
Yeah.
hash it out.
Yeah.
And then decide in a public forum. Right. I think the spirit of this seems to be, let's not have the committee make decisions without there being the opportunity for the public to understand the rationale behind it and maybe weigh in on it before we make decisions. So I think as long as we're bringing the stuff back and discussing it and then adopting it in this public forum, that it meets the spirit of the rule.
Because you could consider your comments, like, yeah, you just would kind of want to try not be like influenced off each other too much. You would want to try to be having your own opinions on things and then coming back together to discuss.
I
Which-
don't like it, but
Yeah, I understand. So
I find it just really puts a huge damper on, work as a committee. Where you should get some stuff figured out during the month and then come and put it on public forum and, present that. But this is kind of saying, no, you can't really do that.
It's pretty standard though, like.
That's not my interpretation.
Robert's rules.
All right.
yes, I was gonna say that while this is now becoming a town policy, it is specifically based on that Maine law and has been how we have operated planning board and other meetings since I have begun working here.
I feel like anything we've been doing has violated that, like, for instance, when you drafted something and I looked at it and edited it,
Yeah.
No, I don't think that does.
it's hard to imagine that we would all be in Google Drive the same time, like. Making decisions about something.
Yeah, I mean, there were
feel
some
like I've done
periods,
that.
there were some periods, prior to the, the run up to the climate action plan where, Yvette was saying, hey, we gotta watch it, this is looking like a quorum,
Mhm.
you guys gotta get out.
Oh, I don't
You
think
know.
that, I really don't think like if you're all in the Google Drive,
Well, this is more like emails back and forth.
yes.
Where there's multiple
Yes.
people, more than a quorum or a quorum
Mm-hmm.
copied on an email, but, in a sense. People are seeing that, but they're not, you can't have 3 people discussing something on an email and then one person gets to talk at a time.
Yeah, I get that. I think with an email, you'd want to be cautious. So if someone were to say, I'm sending this thing out and it was to all of you, you may not want to then do a reply all and then someone else does a reply all. That would be a quorum. That's how you'd get there, I think, through email potentially. This is more, I will say this is a board and committee policy for everyone in the town. So we BCC planning board members at this point, so they do not accidentally run afoul of this because it's much more important with them since they're the planning board and they're making land use decisions. I think, you know, resolving comments on a Google Drive would probably violate this, you know, if you're like, yes, I agree with this, and I'm gonna make a change based on a comment. That should come back to a meeting and should be discussed on an email. I do think, yeah, you can send things out, but it's just the, yes, we all agree we're gonna do this is where it gets a little hairy. I did make a note, I'll try to ask if we can get something out of the manager's office that maybe clarifies some of this, because mostly it's me that has the committees that do this group work, so I hear you guys. I'll try to see if I can get something from them. I have not been a part of the creation of this, so I don't feel as
Yeah.
able to, you know,
Yeah.
get into the details of it, but they may be able to, you know, provide a little bit more information on this best practices.
Well, it kind of sounds like you understand it well, you understand it well.
I don't.
So two of us do and two of us don't.
Decision making happens in the public forum,
Totally
Yeah.
get that.
making suggestions, doing research, drafting things can happen ad hoc amongst, like, we can all have homework, but
We can't have
actually,
three people working on.
See, that's
on
where
a little project together.
If they're interacting with each other, so that's what it is.
here's a question.
I'm sorry.
Several- Several days ago, after looking at the work that we were thinking about and working on, I sent an email to everyone, including you, describing what I had learned and giving some thoughts about
Mhm.
what I thought a charge might look like.
Mm-hmm.
I sent it to everybody.
Yep.
Was I breaking that rule?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because you were not. I mean, I guess you're right. This is why I'm saying maybe we should ask to see if we can get this, but though I can't exactly speak because I don't actually know completely what you were responding to. I'm not sure I was included on the earlier communications about that.
That was actually, it was original.
Okay, so it just came about based on the last meeting's discussion. Okay, that's fine then. I didn't know if you guys had been sending things that I wasn't on.
No.
So that was the tiny bit that was unclear to me. No, that's fine, because you're just putting something out there for people to consider. And then tonight, I assume you guys were planning to discuss it.
Yeah.
And make any actions on your email.
But what would be wrong is if people responded to that by email.
Yes, with a reply all,
decisions.
with saying, yes, I agree with you here, we should do this.
Right.
Like, if you had said, yeah, Jackie, I agree with that, let's do that, and then maybe Jackie had sent it back and said, this is what it looks like with that, and then Nick had said, yeah, I like this new updated one, that wouldn't have been allowed.
Anyway, I think Sky will help us keep on track.
I will try to, just include me on everything, I don't
Okay.
care, I archive your emails immediately if I'm like, doesn't matter for me. And that way, if I notice something is going on, I can just send out like, hey guys, let's wait for the next meeting kind of thing. I understand where you guys are coming from. I do completely get it, you know.
I guess the attendance policy, I guess that's what it's gonna be. What is it, 1/3? You miss 1/3 of the regularly scheduled meetings in a fiscal year. That we have to notify the committee chair has to notify the select board and they will make a decision. Did I read that right?
Sorry, which one is that?
Oh, it's just about the attendance policy.
Okay.
Really got it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I don't think you guys are gonna run into an issue with that. You've never been a committee that's had huge attendance issues to my understanding, but
Yeah,
this is something that they've seemingly feel strongly on.
right. Okay,
So-
well,
It's in the spirit really of making sure that has every opportunity to weigh in. I think when we look at it like that, that's really the intent behind most of those things. I don't think the select board is doing anything that's really very different from most towns.
The tone counts.
Tone counts, and I think we made a lot of comments.
And I do think they tried, you know, they did add something to the top to try to address that a little bit. You know, I think, yeah, it's a good idea for all of you guys to read this yourself. This is available online right now on the select board meetings webpage, under the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
you
they do have they started it with Town of Topsham values the work of its boards and committees and appreciates the time of the dedicated volunteers who serve on them in an effort to avoid miscommunication and confusion over responsibilities and potential conflicts. The purpose of this policy is set forth expectations for committee service. And, you know,
Yeah. And I think, to just kind of echo what Victoria said a little bit, I think it's just, if you have someone missing more than a third, maybe that person isn't the right fit, and someone else should have that opportunity to be a part of it,
Oh,
so,
for sure.
yeah.
Had that before.
So do we wanna make some decisions around the Google Drive and the meeting time? And date now?
You could also wait until you get your new charge and term and we could discuss it at the first meeting if you guys want a little bit more time to think about it. I know I just brought those up for you today. If
Is
you,
it something that we can change at any point if the full committee agrees?
I honestly think so. I've not had
Yeah.
one do it, but I don't see why not. We would just need to make sure there's room available and I don't have a meeting scheduled at another time.
Right.
I know other towns have moved to more models of having some meetings during the day, and I won't lie, it would make my life slightly easier. So I wanted to put it to you guys if it's not an issue. I absolutely understand multiple of you have jobs. There is no pressure to do this. I just wanted to put it forward to you guys. That's all.
Is this generally a good time?
It's fine just right now. If I'll have to come by Zoom
Mm-hmm.
once it's dark at night.
Oh, really?
That's
Okay. And then the earlier,
I mean, I have a 9 to 5, so
Okay.
already I'm
Yeah, you're
leaving a little early.
Yeah.
I don't know what the earliest, like I don't know if there's any interest in doing it like first thing in the morning at 8, like that would work well for me. I don't know what other people's
I
commitments
struggle out a bit.
are. That's not just hard.
Jackie's like, I'm retired. I didn't ask for that.
I was,
theoretically, I'm retired, but I've already been up for 4 hours.
I too, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
what I'll do is I'll start work earlier, these days, that kind of thing, but every employer's different, so.
Yeah.
no, just.
All right, so we can
I
just
think
kind of
this
roll
works.
through and if we get
I mean,
selected for another. Or,
If I ask where I can find the.
well, if you go to the agenda,
June-
and then just go to this draft committee policy.
Oh, yeah. that would be
On the
easiest.
agenda,
That's
and then
great.
scroll.
Okay.
Scroll right down.
They're interesting in that they combine everything together into one document and you have to scroll to find
Yeah.
things. Yeah, yeah.
It's on there.
Personally, I think we do it clearer over at planning board, but we have separate items.
Well, so I think we've eaten that up. Draft new charges. How the heck do we want to get into this? I thought what you guys did was great. As far as piling them.
Yeah, I mean, I just left it where we had left it, the last meeting. So there's sort of in the draft, there's 2 sets of text. One was the original and then one was more of like what we worked on as a group.
Right.
So.
Not figured it out.
Can we maybe share what, Stephanie and Jackie worked on? Access my email.
Is it in the Google Drive?
Right.
No,
No,
it's.
I think
Yeah.
Jackie's is via email, mine is in the Google Drive. I created a folder called
Okay.
Charge.
I can pull up the Google Drive pretty easily. A folder. Which one should I open, Stephanie?
Ideas we need.
Yeah, that's one. Okay,
Oh, great.
and I
Thank you.
can share the Zoom so people can see what we are doing.
So I think last time we discussed how specific
we think we wanna be.
Mhm.
And I think we were heading in a pretty specific direction, which is why I put together a list of the actions that Energy Committee is tagged as the lead.
Mhm.
I also did end up including, where the planner is the lead and then an energy committee is supporting, because I feel like with our relationship with Sky, there's just some synergy that we can have there.
Yeah.
That's a good call. And then I layered in the votes, which didn't have necessarily a one-to-one. Like, I think the ideas discussed in the community meeting didn't necessarily map to the final actions in the climate plan, so some of them were exact, some of them were more like related, so I tried to call out, those distinctions. So there's actually quite a few here. If you want me to go back to the other one, you can. I just thought I'd pull this up as well.
You know, what was some other document called? Charge.
This one? So I guess in the section 2 deliverables, we had prioritize list of actions for review and approval, evaluate and research viability of highest priority projects, and a recommendation for the first 3 projects to implement. So I think the idea we had been talking through was how do we figure out what to work on first and where to put our energy first? But then I think the question is, do we want to actually specify those, do we want to do that work now and specify the first ones we want to tackle? And put that in the charge, or do we want the charge to be the process of determining the first things to work on?
I mean, it's a little bit of a, you know, it's
Chicken
a
and egg.
flip side, yeah, chicken and egg. Because anything substantial, you know, we're gonna say, okay, well, the goal is to do this, but it's gonna require research to get there. So we don't really know whether it's viable, we don't know whether the project is gonna be acceptable to the select board or interesting to the select board until we've done the research. So I think if we selected the first 3 projects to work on, that would be a research period. And I don't know if like the charge is just gonna be the research period. You know, we're gonna work on these 3 projects. And then, you know, what's the next thing? Okay, we've identified that 2 of these 3 projects, you know, are gonna be, have a lot of bang for the buck. Then what do we do?
Can we walk through an example? Because I know Sky brought up the website. So that's one where I think, I don't know if you're the lead or you're.
One of us is the lead and one of us is the
But
support.
it's a website to help town residents find information about energy efficiency programming.
Or a web page on
Yeah,
the town website.
So say today we decide we really want to do this together. What would your recommendation be for how to approach that? Do we need to come up with a plan first and then have the select board approve it and then we can work on the website and launch it? Or could the charge include launch this website, which is this action?
In that case, I do think you could have launched the website as part of the charge, quite honestly, because that would be the meat, you know, you're choosing one action and you're saying, we want to, you know, do the research on this. And also that one's a pretty easy one. It's not going to cost the town anything except for some time from me, which I'm fine to do. I think in that case, yes, you could say we want to do this one thing and we're going to do it, you know, and Sky is going to make sure everything looks okay. Which is what I would be doing, and I think we would all expect. I think in that case, that would be fine. I think, yes, I had a thought on this, but I don't want to move you off page if you wanted to ask another question or move in another direction. Okay, great.
I just I didn't want to take over. I was just gonna say, I think that if you guys want to take more time to do more research to figure this out, I do think that's fair. And I do think that they would probably be likely to support that. So, you know, with the deliverables you have, like prioritized list of actions for review, evaluate and research viability, recommendation of first 3 projects. To me, that does kind of sound like the end of your charge is you know, you've figured out the first 3 projects you want to do and, you know, you have some support for them. And then at that point, I think irregardless, say you got your charge for like multiple years and it is to implement the plan, at this point, you would probably still go to the select board and say, hey, these are the first 3 projects. This is why we think they're a good idea. You know, are you guys good with that? So I think if you had a longer charge, you would be checking in with them. And what they would probably do is say, since you're going to be checking in with us anyway, your charge will just end. And if it's all good, we'll just give you another one. So that's my guess with how granular they've gotten about things, that's what would happen there, quite honestly. But I don't think that because they want to be more granular, it means that they don't want you guys to be doing things. I just think they want to be making sure that there's going to be these check-ins and stuff. If that answers what you were asking and you were kind of asking, I hope it didn't go off too much.
I'm trying,
Go ahead.
I wanna do things as soon as possible. That's what I'm trying to get to. I don't want there to be more planning and more waiting
Right.
and more, like,
Mhm.
so maybe we should.
I feel like it shouldn't end at C, or
Yeah.
there should be a comma and, or recommendation to make a recommendation and begin implementing, the top 3 priority projects.
Yeah, maybe D is implement, like, once they're approved by the select board, implement any approved projects by the select board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you guys can certainly try for that. I'm cautious that they'll do what I'm saying that they might do, but this is your choice. That they'll say, there seems like there's a natural stopping point. Why don't you come back for a new charge? Because
But something like creating this webpage as a resource.
Yeah.
It is a pretty low hanging fruit, and it would feel silly to have to go through this year-long planning process to
yeah.
approve that before actually getting it going.
Mm.
But some of the others might be longer term, and that might be.
Yeah. So I think either you explicitly call out an action or 2 and you say, we want to do these, and that's your charge, and hey, this is how long it'll take. Or you say, we need more time to look at the plan and figure out what the best things are. And they'll probably ask you to end your charge to come back to give ideas. I think that's probably the trade-off. If you guys feel really strongly about this, I'm not telling you you can't go to them and try for a combination of. That is just my guess if you're asking for my advice. Because
Got a little bit of time between now and when we could be on the, you know, going through this chart, what do we just decide on? Maybe not even 3, it could be just 2 things. There's these 2 things we want to do. You know, be very specific with them about, you know, those things. So we've already done like, you know, some preliminary thinking about those things. So, you know, if one of them's a website, we want to create a website. You know, it's a resource for the people of Town of Topsham.
In that case, do you think the charge needs to have some rationale as to why we've chosen these?
I think some, but I don't think you need to go crazy, you know. And if you're seriously considering the website one, I can tell you that I've had multiple people contact the town looking for that resource. So I think it's a need. And we had someone asking like this winter, and we do a lot of, you know, stuff with lie heap and stuff like that. So I think that one would go over well, which is why I kind of was like, hey, this is just us, and I think it would be popular. But, you know, it is your right to look through that and say, you know, if there are other things you want. But I do think it's that either specifically call things out, and you could specifically call it out and say, we need to do some research on how to do it exactly, but this is the one we want to focus on. But if you're just saying we want to look at the entire plan and figure out which way to go, you could look at the entire plan and choose, you know, what might be the most expensive option. I think that's how they might see it, is that they would be afraid that you would look through the plan, choose the most expensive option, and they would have given you a charge to just start on it. And that's when they want to be able to say, okay, like, yeah, this is a great idea, but it's gonna be really hard on the budget, you know, and if you were gonna give them 3, they'd probably wanna be able to say, okay, like, number 1, great, but super expensive. Number 2, I don't know how relevant it is, it didn't get that many votes, but number 3, really great in between. Why doesn't your new charge be number 3? That's how I would see that
What if
going.
we explicitly state something like, you know, we want to implement a lower, no cost, short-term priority project and begin and plan and research
Yeah,
to, you know, or one medium term and one long term or something like that. Just, I think I share Stephanie's fear that, you know, we want to be action oriented and we've done this plan.
mhm.
So let's move beyond the plan and get something done that
Yeah.
residents can connect with
And I'll just be candid, my advice for you is to try to find something in the plan and say, we're gonna do this action. I think that goes over the best. If you don't feel ready, I think what you mentioned is probably your best second option if you really don't want your charge to end with then being like, okay, and then of these 3 that we've came from, like, but I like your idea. I think it goes over the best. You come in strong, you say, this is the one, this is how many votes it got. Hey, we just passed this at town meeting. It was really popular. No one had any problems. We'd like to do this. We recognize the concerns you had. It doesn't cost that much. Staff has said they'll help, you know, that you come in strong with that. That's my suggestion, but it is your guys' committee, so I don't want to tell you what you have to do.
I think 3 is too much.
Yeah.
We're gonna be discussing this endlessly. You know, and, you know, so we're gonna spend our time discussing. I think going in for one, let's just go in for one project. You know, let's make it a good one, go in for one project, work on that project. In the meanwhile, we can think of other stuff. You know, okay, well, you know, we're working on this is going well. And, you know, we can check in and start talking about the next one, you know, the next charge, but maybe just do do the charges, just one project at a time. I think it's, you know, it's just gonna. Presenting anything vague to the select board, I think is just gonna end in a morass, you know, so I think we wanna be, you know, super specific about it,
Okay,
yeah.
I think we're all aligning on that. How do you feel about that, Jackie?
First question that comes to mind is I don't recall, the website with information as being on the plan at all.
It's not.
Oh, I thought it was one of the
I think
actions.
Is it?
there's one in strategy C, add website examples of.
Oh,
clean
yeah,
energy
okay.
upgrades
Yeah.
and attributed cost savings on the town's
Yeah,
webpage.
I pulled it from the actions.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of part of the larger outreach plan, though, where we're,
Right.
you know, sneak in some other actions as well, rather than just focusing on the webpage.
I'm looking for the wrong thing, I think.
So this is a little bit, I mean, add website examples.
Oh, okay.
I don't necessarily think it would take that long, you know,
Right.
honestly, to do it.
Is there anything wrong with going for a charge that only takes like a month?
Not at all, because I think they'd like that in some ways. Yeah, because then you can
Right.
say, yeah, we figured out how we work together. We figure out how to do it. Hey, we're coming back. Here's the next one we want to do.
Right.
Like you could do as many. I think that's what they want. They want you to just say, we're going to do this chunk. Hey, we finished it. It went well. Let us do another chunk.
Why not? I mean, I think that got us into trouble, you know, we rolled out this giant scroll of, you know, we're gonna solve all the world's problems, you know, between the top of the page and the bottom of the page. And I think it was really too much.
But I'm
Not there.
concerned that by picking one thing and saying that's our charge, what happens if some opportunity comes along that absolutely fits in our mission, fits into the action plan, and it's not part of our charge?
We get you in front of the select board. And you say, hey, this really cool thing has come up.
Yeah.
We want to add this. We think we can do a lot of good. I think that's the answer. to that,
Sure.
honestly.
Cause that's something I'm really concerned about. because-
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would add that much time for you guys to, because if you know, you have to ask the select board to write grants, like
Right.
to do a grant, you know, you
Right.
need, I don't think you would be adding in any extra time if you were like, hey, this really cool opportunity just came up.
Mhm.
We would like to, you know, amend our charge. We think it's a really good idea. It fits with this high, you know, high priority one, but that maybe costs some money and we think we can get something for it. I think they'd be fine with that and I think they'd appreciate it because you're, you know, keeping on track of it. You could add a sub thing maybe that while you're working on things, you're keeping an eye for, you know, grant and other funding opportunities for other actions. I think
I
you,
think it's a really good idea, you know,
Yeah.
because we're alerting them to the fact that we do
Yeah.
have our, you know,
You don't want surprise.
trying to
Mhm.
see what's going on out there.
Like, you're not gonna go after them, you're just gonna,
Yeah.
you're gonna keep your ears out.
We've already told you that
Yeah.
something comes up and we're
Yeah.
gonna come
Right.
back. and
Yes.
say, hey, this thing came up and we would like to,
Mm-hmm,
you know, we're fine, we're gonna get this website done or whatever it is. We're fine with that, you know, we'll be done soon. Can we do
yes.
this? So amending a charge is.
I don't see why that wouldn't be possible, honestly, you know.
I never thought of it that way.
What about, there's a number of things on this, plan that involve cooperating with other
Mm-hmm,
groups. So one of the things that was high on the list of people's desires was the pathways and bike trail stuff.
yep,
So should something like that be added in? That's why when I heard your comment about that what I proposed was too general. But I was thinking of specific things under each of those, and when I talked about collaboration with with other groups, I was thinking particularly about the bike paths and that sort of thing. And I'm not sure how one goes about doing that, or how we include that in the charge.
yeah, so, interesting point. I would say that both the Conservation Commission and the bicycle pedestrian group are probably also, you know, considering those things. Bicycle pedestrian is not under the planning umbrella. They're with public safety, so I can't provide updates on them as easily. Conservation Commission, Josh does, so it's more, we chat about it. Though they are getting ready to work on a natural areas plan update. I feel like that would go along with what you know, you'd be keeping an eye out for that. Maybe, you know, maybe if you wanted to,
About organizing joint meeting, something of that
yeah.
nature, to get the ball.
Well, I would maybe say that, you know, I think that potentially what would be a good idea is like do this simple short one, show them that you want to dig into the action plan and you want to get things done. And maybe for the next one you say, hey, like we want to try to work with them. We've talked to them. They're okay with it. We want to do this thing. The other thought that I will say is, so the comprehensive plan committee, implementation committee, each member of that committee is a liaison to another committee, which, well, you guys don't really have one right now, but I kind of serve that for them. I give them updates on you guys. I don't know if you guys would want to consider having like a bicycle pedestrian and a conservation commission liaison that goes to meetings occasionally to kind of talk about how they intersect with the climate action plan. I would need to check on how that would work, but if that's something you guys are interested in, I don't think that that would be crazy, quite honestly.
Well, I don't know how you collaborate without it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, but so if you aren't ready to collaborate yet, you could kind of set the stage of we're gonna see what they're working on, and then maybe for your next charge, hey, we've been talking, let's work on this project together, just to add that.
Right.
You'll check to see that that's all good
Yes,
and doesn't necessarily need to be explicitly in our chart.
Yes.
That will be potentially attending other.
Yeah.
liaisons.
I will check in with, I mean, I will say like, you know, as private citizens, you can attend any meeting, but I'll check if that would be an issue, to like kind of do that. And I think, I think you could kind of roll all of that together into the like, we're working on this one thing. While we do it, we're kind of keeping an eye out for opportunities for other actions, that would provide monetary supplies or maybe collaboration,
Having it, right, even if it's more general like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that just legitimizes, then we can say, well, we attended, these X number of meetings and now we're ready to, it does more than set the stage.
An outsider comment,
Yes, please.
this is fascinating. Having fun just sitting here. Number one, I'm working on a website. Replacing an ancient one. It's up, it's out. And we're already planning substantial changes when we get into the autumn timeframe. Why? Because as good as it is, getting feedback from people. We never thought about X. Because there's just a lot of human stuff goes with a website. So when you talk about 4 months, probably get it up faster. But you won't be able to just stop at 4 months.
Right, exactly,
We
exactly.
need to
I've been
implement a
deeply
plan
involved.
to update it, maintain it.
Yeah, and that's an ongoing process if you're going to keep it accurate.
I mean, you could have that be part of your next charge that, okay, we finished the website update. Now we want to collaborate with this committee to do this thing, but we also need to make sure that the website is still accurate. So we're going to dedicate a little bit of time at each meeting to keep that going.
You were talking about this other group that is dealing with pathways, bikes, so on and so forth. As that starts to take shape, maybe right on your website is how do I get to that location? What is the mapping? You are collaborating in a very win-win type of situation. That's one piece.
I need to take that down.
At the meeting that ended, the select meeting, it just happened to be going out when the gentleman who was what's the title of the
Town manager.
no, not the
Oh.
town manager,
Chair.
chair.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about who was in this room before we got in
Yeah,
here.
no.
Yes.
I just wanted to walk up, thank him, say blah, blah, blah. And, I mentioned I'm hoping to be on the energy committee later on. He just made a comment that I didn't quite understand, but he said, it's gonna continue, but they gotta get more focus, was the word he came out with. And he meant in a constructive way, not a negative way. It sounds like you guys are getting more focused than perhaps a lot of these plannings have left a different impression. But if you want, I'd lay out 5 pages of stuff. Focus on it, so on and so forth. Maybe that's what we're looking. So, and I don't think he was telling me anything to pass back to you guys. It was just his comment. And at least I took it as a constructive one, not a critical one.
Yeah, I think focus, and my feeling is that one of the reasons that they want focus is that they're scared to death they're gonna go running off doing something wild and suggesting something wild and crazy. And so they want a sense that they know what we're doing and they think it's a good thing and at least won't get in their way. I love the idea of working, providing a site that provides information easily for our residents. I think that's a bigger, harder task than any of you realize.
Also,
So, I don't think, to build a good one that people can easily access, and how much space would we have? With
So-
this, how would it fit in? There are lots of.
Yep, I brought up your current website and I wanted to show it to you guys. So this is currently the Energy Committee's webpage on the Town of Topsham. I am seeing some things that need to be updated. I do apologize. It's hard to keep up with this sometimes, but if you guys make this your charge, well, and I'm also always happy to hear an email that says, hey, can you update this thing? We would probably put something down below it. So this is the climate action plan. It would be probably, I don't know what the title would be. So it would be something like this. And I would show you guys the tools that we use for this. And we could then talk about how it would look and stuff and go forward from there. We would not be creating like a URL or anything like that. Because that could.
But you can hyperlink like to.
Oh, absolutely.
pages.
Yep. And we can do graphics and stuff, and it can look better than this. I've thrown this together because I just have gotten busy with a lot of things. But this is about the basics of what you could do. And then actually, let me show you one that is, this was one Conservation Commission did, kind of like goes over some things. So they like, it's talking about invasives.
Link to that.
You can, yeah.
Basic plans are one of the things that got votes within the top 20.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe you pull together some, maybe we talk about ways that this climate action plan page gets updated because I just haven't had time to do it, and probably would be better if you guys did, do you want to talk about what the process was, but do you want to link to, Conservation Commission's invasive species page? Do you want to link to well, where is the bicycle? I feel like they might not be on here right now. Just that's not crazy hard, just because we don't need to get outside assistance. It's just you guys pulling together information.
It sounds like a good, easy first project to tackle, and
And
let's
it's-
take Sky's word that like it won't be too difficult to get before the select board to move on to the second one. But I like the idea of putting in a more general second deliverable of, collaborate with other committees that are charged with implementing the climate action plan, something like that.
Right, or whose mission overlaps with.
Right.
It also puts you to, I think, a safe place. It was just last week that the state representatives and senators did not pass a very substantial energy-related bill. There's a lot of pressure going on the governor with, being the senators to try to have the senator go down to talk to the governor to make sure she does not pass that bill. Because it has substantial impacts, multiple year impacts on, basically all the different kinds of energy that is being created to get us away from fossil fuels and stuff.
So it'll be a short one page with few resources on it.
But so, you guys have no control over that. So the more that your project looks like it is at risk because of things that you can't control, and it's not gonna get the support, the website clean. You might have to tweak the words a little bit based upon what the final tax law comes out to be, so on and so forth. Well, that's a lot easier than going down the path that is kind of stopped because of the hanky-panky in politics.
Yeah, it's a changing landscape for energy projects.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
And I will just say, I think, if you guys tackle one that's kind of a slam dunk on the first one, I think you're in a much better position to go, a little higher the next time, and then a little higher the next time. And then maybe, hey, we've done these 3 really good projects and they all fit, and a lot of people really wanted this thing. Can you put a little money in the budget for it? I'm not saying if they will or won't do that, but I think it's a much easier ask after a couple successful ones.
How much staff time would be needed to put the website up, the web pages up?
I would see like you guys coming together at your meetings and kind of presenting. You'd probably want to be doing research first on what you want to include and looking at it yourselves. Yeah, well, maybe just the content first, honestly, before we get into the minutia of how it looks, and then probably it would be
I'm not talking how it looks, I'm talking how it's organized.
That's what
You
I
have to
meant.
think,
Yeah, no,
but that's not minutia. Organization is not minutia.
no, but I meant you'd want to start by researching which things you want to link to, what the content of it would be. And then probably we would talk about organization, and then we would get into where the headings are, what goes under the headings, what's on that. So I don't think that's a crazy amount of staff time. If you guys are uncomfortable with that though, I can try to figure it out. I do these ones in my off time. It's mostly just, it's equivalent to word processing. I'm telling you guys, I'm okay with this project and I'm okay with supporting you in it, so, you know.
Didn't I just hear about what, 20 hours a week?
Certainly not. No, I think, I think that it would be good to give yourselves a slightly longer term than you think you might need to, if things are taking longer than you think they are, you're needing more time for research or organization. But yeah, I think we would come here, we would talk about things, and then probably I would mock it up for you guys, or we would do it together, and then you would review it, and then we would change it at the next meeting until we were happy with it. And if you finish it early, you can just go, hey, we finished it early, let's do a new charge.
Yeah, and I would use the word finish.
Establish.
You'll get, right, you'll get it established, but
Put it up there.
a website, is a moving target.
Yes.
It's totally, if it's not up to date, it's useless. I go to websites all the time, but that was my previous job as a website researcher. And it's so frustrating to go and, not find what they said you were gonna find, or get that 404 thing. I'd love to see this. This is right up my alley in terms of finding information, and I think it would be a great thing. But I think we need to know what we're getting into.
Thanks for the reality check.
Yeah.
It's your choice at the end of the day.
Simple.
I can, if you want to equivalize it, it's not so hard to do things. If I need to research for it, that's when it becomes much more difficult. So if you guys are maintaining and saying, hey, Sky, the link for this heat pump grant changed, update it.
Yeah.
That's super simple. I like doing that because I don't have to think about it. If it's,
Sure, we are keeping up to date.
That's right,
with changes
right.
for, efficiency Maine or other.
Yep.
other
Yep.
programs.
Exactly.
which is why I thought it was a great point that you brought up, that you'd probably want to fold it into your next charge, that
Yeah,
we want to do another project, because maintaining it isn't a full charge,
right.
but we don't want to abandon it because we put all this work into it. So I think it works like that. I think it's a step ladder. Yep.
I also like that this idea will be a good learning opportunity for us to kind of see what resources are out there. It'll be sort of a crash course in clean energy for anyone that isn't familiar with certain technologies or whatever, and then we can kind of leverage that learning for future actions too.
Yeah. Do we want to include in this that we would get the word out via social media? It's easy too, if you have the content to create, but maybe that's a whole other charge, but create a brochure to put in the town office, or if you have all that stuff, you can find other ways to get it out there,
Yeah.
because a lot of people probably don't go to the website.
No, I have to tell them about it all the time. It could go on the Facebook page for sure. That would be
Yeah.
easy. We could link to it and say, hey, the Energy Committee did this. We've still got the Climate Action Plan email list from the process, so we can send out, those are easy things that could just, I think, happen when it's done and it's ready. If you want to do like some printed brochures to like leave around, then that starts to get a monetary cost with it, so it would probably be outside of this one, but I'm also not sure how many people
Yeah.
would want that, honestly. We could put up flyers with QR codes, that's not gonna have a cost. If I have to print high quality color, then they get angry at me, but I can do a couple here and there.
Well, what if it was just like a poster?
I was just gonna.
Yeah,
say,
no, like if we have a
down where
poster
people
downstairs,
put-
that's fine, yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
People walk by there.
Yep. Yep. And we can put it on the front page too. This is actually getting updated. We're gonna get a slightly cleaner. Unless, no, yeah, it hasn't been, it hasn't, no. We're gonna get a cleaner looking website this summer, fall. So I could put it here. That's like, hey, check out this new web page on, oops, that's just a picture on, these things. I'll put it over the website. We can put it on Facebook, and then well, I guess Yvette can share it because I assume she owns the Solar Buddies or whatever it's
The
called.
solar buddies.
I forgot the name.
So, I like that.
So yeah, because we can have the town share it, and then
She would
we can
share.
send. Yeah, so that would get there, and you could ask some other groups and stuff, and I could send it out to the committees. We've done that before, so.
Sky, do you do anything with YouTube?
We do use YouTube for our meetings. So the meeting that you guys are in right now will be on our YouTube in a couple of days. Yep. Oh, yeah.
That could be another link,
To,
website, links over to YouTube, a longer pitch discussion.
that would be something that you guys would need to create. That's not within my wheelhouse to do. If you want to. I would say that's probably either a new charge or charge 0.5.
Well, sorry. You were saying?
I was just going to say that another suggestion I would have is that to get something up that even before we've got everything we possibly want to put in it, do this under construction thing and say, put together some things that we know that people want, stuff we know already. Put it up and say, we'll be adding to this, keep coming back and checking. I mean, it's one way to build usage, because if you start something that looks like, oh, there's some information here I could use, then they'll come back looking for more stuff.
That would be your guys' choice to make and how you want to present the webpage and such. The other way, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this, the other way it would get out there is if someone came in and said, I have these concerns, we would say, go to our website at this place. I think 2 of the ones we've gotten have been from people who they called because maybe they're older and maybe they're not so comfortable Googling what the options are in Maine, but so they might call us and we might say, hey, our committee put together an easy list. This is the URL. I'm going to get you there. And then we're not unaware, like I can't get someone to an efficiency Maine webpage because I don't have time to know that. But I do know, hey, the energy committee made a page and we can talk them through, and the admin assistants can do that. So that's another way that this could be a resource. Yeah. I'm sorry, I have to say something really quickly. I gotta duck out of here in about 10 minutes. There's a historic district commission meeting. I'll turn off the Zoom, but I will be here until probably 6:15, 6:30. So if you guys need to chat for a little bit, if you're still in here when I leave, I'll tell you to go, but you can hang out for a little bit.
Okay, do you wanna pop over to the charge draft again?
Yep. Is this that?
Yes, so
Okay, great. You did things.
I incorporated what we've discussed. So the charge is now very simple. Implementing this action. Monitoring for opportunities for funding or collaboration with other committees in support of other climate action plan actions. I don't know if we want to put in any additional detail around the launch and like socializing on Facebook, or if we want to clarify that we're not going to be seeking funding or anything, we're just monitoring, or if that's clear enough.
I think short and smooth. I like the condensed there. I think that pretty well says it. It says we want to do this project. And that we also want to be aware of, stay aware of other opportunities and ways to collaborate with other groups that are doing things. You said it better than I'm saying it, so. I think I think we're almost there.
Would it be outrageous to think that we would, get this, get this website stuff up and then have a public meeting? Where
I
it's
think
like,
that might be-
okay, well, this is what we got.
Yeah,
Like a launch meeting.
to show it off,
Yeah.
show it off and to get feedback
Right,
about, okay, here it is.
right. And we
This
can
is,
bite-
what else do you think needs to be here? I mean, we'll have our ideas, but they
Right.
may come up with, like Chuck said, we won't think of everything.
Right.
We don't have the same issues that some people will have.
Because I think, one of the, this whole, implement the climate action plan. It's a huge thing and it's not gonna happen, without public support. So I think that each step of the way, we're gonna want to try to find a way to get involved with the other citizens of
Right,
Topsham. And, build support.
right.
Really.
And not only that, there may be people out there who, would like to feed us information, say, do you know about this? Do you
Right.
know about that? One of the things that, just as an example, that I kind of had in my mind, partly because it's an area I've been interested in a long time, is that one of the issues was invasive plants, figuring out where the invasive plants are. And I thought about the only way that you could do that, with no money, is to get citizens out there looking,
Looking for stuff.
doing
Right.
a little training session and
Right.
and getting people out there, and that, getting the residents having a stake in it.
Yeah.
Anybody who's dealing with Japanese, whatever, who calls them the nasty thing, may be delighted to know that they're, here's where it is, here's maybe where we can control it, because at some point, once it's well established, you're not gonna get rid of it. But maybe we can take steps for controlling, because it's a big problem.
Can I just give a tiny suggestion for that? I do think you could add in that you would solicit, citizen feedback as you work on the website.
Yes, good idea.
And that gives you options for how you do it. If you wanna say, show a beta website, if you want to have a meeting, you wouldn't have any, money to do the meeting, it would just be, we'd put it on the sign and we'd put it, and that's another place we could say there's a new website on the sign or something. But that would just give you a lot of opportunity to do that if you wanted to. And then the other thing I was just gonna say before I have to head out of here is that, I think you guys have gotten a really good, charge here. I think that it's what they're looking for. And, I do think it's important to think about what you want, but I also wouldn't worry too much because this, I think, is at a good level to bring to them. And if they have, if they want you to explicitly say something, they'll let you know and that'll just get changed, I don't,
We can overthink it to death and then
Yeah.
they'll still have some change or
Yeah.
suggestion or feedback.
Yeah.
My experience in the past is, it's you stand up there, you tell them what you wanna do, and they say, well, what about this? And you say, well, I haven't thought of that, and,
Yeah.
it gets kind of worked out on the spot. Workshop on the spot.
Is there any
It's not that bad.
to involving some of the educated, kids getting educated over this small college across the water here?
you mean Bowdoin?
Yeah,
Could we do that?
They're in the technology that we've never seen before.
I think we wanna stick,
Yeah.
for this, I think we wanna stick to this town.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
we
might
have,
we've had projects before, we've had interns, working in Topsham, really every summer.
we have 3 right now.
Oh, still,
Yep, we have.
oh, it's summer still.
It's not even, it's barely summer, Nick. We have 3 right now and there's, certain committees have done work with them before. I don't really know what you would.
We would ask for it if we have a need.
Yes,
We need to, so.
And it is, you need to have project ideas in the early, you know, but if you guys have something next May, you can talk to me. I usually get an environment, well, actually, yeah, we can chat about it. I do have an intern. The one this year is spoken for, they're doing other things.
Okay, what about term length?
Is this, I mean, it's kind of like 6 months or something, isn't it?
I was thinking a year.
You can always finish early.
Yeah.
You can always finish early.
Six meetings. Doesn't seem enough.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do a year, and if we finish early, then that's like, what's the expression, a feather in our cap?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean,
Especially if we
wrong with
want
that?
to have some community sessions along the way and at the end, like that, even just planning one of those, I feel like takes up a meeting or part of good part. of the meeting. Or we could
Yeah.
compromise.
Do
and
we-
decide.
We don't have to get involved the select board about the details of organizing a meeting or
No,
something like that.
I don't
right?
think so.
because
You've
we've
got it in there. You're saying we're gonna talk to the town and ask them, you know. As I said, they wouldn't be as fancy as your climate action plan meetings because you don't have a grant paying for them, but yeah, we could do a, you know, 1 or 2 evening, one.
Yeah.
evening.
Are you good with that?
Yes. Wow,
Efficient.
this looks good. I mean, what the heck? Good place to start.
Yeah. I'm impressed we all agreed on what to do.
Bring the meeting to a close in a hurry.
Oh, yes, you probably should adjourn.
I mean, yeah. So this is it.
Okay, so next steps on the charge are to email it to,
Yeah, why don't you, yeah, I think I'm sorry, I just closed it out. Oh no, there it is. I just turned off the share. Yeah, you'll get rid of the bottom part. Yeah. Send that to me, and if you have Mark's email, you can include him on here there. If not, I'll send it on to him. And we'll,
ask for this to be at the first meeting in August.
do you want the
Consider-
first meeting in August or do you want the July one? You can have the July select board meeting. I just asked that you not request your first energy committee meeting be in July. That you go to the select board and say, and we want to start in August because I'm trying to just figure out some vacation around the end of July and I thought the turnaround might be a little hard for you guys anyway.
I'm not gonna be here the last week of July.
Okay.
Well, it's not the last week of July. It would be like July 17th or something like that. It's the third Thursday in
Okay.
July. But you guys
Well,
could decide that. Yeah, it'll be the 17th. Wow, I'm impressed I knew that off the top of my
Well,
head.
But you said tomorrow is the deadline
No, that's for the 3rd,
for the third.
which
Okay.
I said you guys,
Okay, so we can get that to you and they put it on for that date, then we'll be good. If not, I'm sure they'll have us.
Yep.
How do we deal with, if you have a moment, how do we deal with getting Chuck on the committee?
oh, I think when they give you a new charge and term, they'll give him an interview. Yeah, I think they just were, since you guys were finishing up, they wanted him to have a good idea of what he was getting involved with, which
Okay.
sounds like you still want it, so I think they'll go forward at that point. That was my understanding. Since you know what the charge is now.
We'll call.
Still recording. No, okay.
Well. It's good. So this is current on that, I just need to locate it again, right?
And you can send this out to the committee, that's certainly allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick, do you want to create a PDF of this and email Sky?
That's what we need to do, a PDF of the charge?
We
That's
use,
what you want?
that's what we'd
You
prefer,
want
yeah.
PDF.
We can use Google Drive for the committees, but
I'll send you the PDF and you'll email it.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds like a plan.
I possess a high degree of competence with these. Not.
You
Okay,
won't find it
so
learning.
you need to go?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can keep talking. I'm just gonna shut this down, so you should just adjourn first.
Okay, so, motion to adjourn. Second. Wow, the usual, all in favor?